A lot of people have probably heard it before. A lot of people, there, is that good? Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay. A lot of people have heard it before, growing up in foster homes, and I'll say it, a couple people may not have heard it. You don't show your weakness and you don't cry, you don't do that, definitely, you don't do it. But then I started preaching and I couldn't help but cry, and it drove me crazy, and anyways, I knew I was going to cry, weep, whatever you want to call it, this one Sunday, and I was sitting right behind you guys, in the seat behind you, and God said it's all right, because when you cry, it's my tears for somebody there. So then I was like, well, I can handle this. If it's just that, I can handle that. If it's your tears, God, if you're just calling me a teardrop for you, I can do that. So when I cry, I know that somebody's here that needs to hear it. So I'm good with that. And so that's how God works through me, I guess. It's unusual. He takes people that you could never see it happening, and he molds them and breaks them and uses them as a different vessel. And that's a great example of what God does in me, which I still fight to this day. I don't like it, but I'm willing to be that guy. Let's open a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for who you are. We thank you for your goodness and your mercy. We thank you that you never give up on us, that you are always there, that you let us go. You love us enough to let us go. But Lord, you never keep your eyes off of us, and you always are trying to get us back into the fold. And we thank you for that. I pray that you would open our hearts and our minds to hear what you would have to say today. May it be your words, not mine. We ask all this in your precious name. Amen. So anyways, if you have your Bibles, we're in Mark chapter 5. We've been in Mark quite a bit. We're still there. I don't know for how much longer. Probably not a lot. Mark he was not a disciple, he was an evangelist. He was told a lot to write from a disciple named Peter. When Mark wrote, he wrote with what have I said? You guys have heard this enough? When Mark wrote, he wrote with a paintbrush. Everything came alive. And his priority was to get across Jesus, his authority. That was his priority, to show Jesus, because we got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, different accounts of Jesus' life, different accounts of the gospel. Each guy had his writing style. Mark's writing style was very alive, and it was to get across what? The authority of Jesus. So, chapter 5. So they went out across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes, and when Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. You know that's foreshadowing? No one could do it. But you know what? Somebody's going to do it. So anyways, he lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day, among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with the stones. And when he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and he fell on his knees in front of him. And he shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? Swear to God that you won't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you evil spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. And a large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. And the demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." And he gave them permission, and the evil spirits came out and went into the pigs, and the herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off, reported this in the town and in the countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. And when they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of the demons sitting there dressed in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had seen it told the people what had happened, and the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. And the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. And as Jesus was getting back in the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him go, but said, "Go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you, and how he had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And all the people were amazed. Trying to figure out what's important in our lives. What is important? What was important when you were a young family growing up is a little different than what's important for us as our family has kind of moved out. When you were 15, what was important? What is important when you're 55? Importance changes. But with Jesus, he really knew what importance was. And so right after what I wrote here, I'll give you an example. He really knew what was important. So Jesus, and I'm just going to give you an example of importance. Jesus is going, he's been called to go heal a daughter of Jairus. He's a very important man, so his daughter is very important. Jesus asked to go heal her. So he's going to go heal her, this important girl. And as he's going, this unimportant girl comes in through the crowd, they don't even see her, and touches his cloak. And he feels the power disperse from him. He feels the power has left. This woman who doesn't even have a name. So there's this woman that has a name, Jairus' daughter, very important. He's supposed to, what's important here? I'm gonna go heal her. But hey, somebody without even a name, an unimportant woman, comes who has had a bleeding illness for 12 years. She's tried everything, and she says, if I can only touch his cloak, I'll be healed. And so she was, your faith has healed you. So he stops in the middle of going to heal someone important, to heal someone who doesn't even have a name. Doesn't even talk about her name. I'm sure she has a name, but we don't know her name. So he knows importance. And then the whole idea about importance is, if he would, so now he's healed this woman without a name, who's been bleeding for 12 years. Meanwhile, Jairus' daughter has died. And they say there's no use now. You don't even have to go. She's passed away. But you know, that's the whole idea. When you get the right person in the right room, I've said this a few times, Jesus goes there and he said, it's going to be okay. She's just asleep. So it doesn't matter what has happened. It doesn't matter who has left your room. It doesn't matter who has left you standing by yourself. If you have the right person in the room, it will be okay. If you have Jesus in the room, things will be fine. And so the people are outside the room. She is dead. I know she's dead. I felt her. There was no heartbeat. I felt the coldness in her body. There was no blood flow. I know that she was dead, but they hear the footprints. They hear the feet pattering around inside that room of a 12-year-old girl. But she was dead. But Jesus said she was only sleeping because the right person was in the room. And so he knew the importance, because if he would have just said, wait here, I'll be back, woman with no name, right? Wait there, I'll be back, I've got to go heal this person. No, the importance was here is that he not only wanted to show that he was the great healer, he wanted to heal this woman, but he wanted to show them even more than a healer. He wanted to show them that he was the resurrection, because the resurrection is not an event, it is a person, Jesus Christ. So he could not have showed Jairus and his family that he was the resurrection. He could not have shown anybody there that he was the resurrection if he was just going to heal. But when she was dead, I am the resurrection. It gave great opportunity, and he understands importance. Jesus understands importance. And what I learn about it is when the presence of God grows alive in me, when my priorities line up with his priorities. The presence of God grows stronger and stronger when my priorities line up with Jesus' priorities. What are his priorities? What is important to him? Well, let me tell you a little story. You are important. You are valuable. And sometimes we don't feel that way. We don't feel valuable sometimes, right? We feel like, really, how much could he love me? Well, we're going to learn about this today, how valuable you are. And so Mark, he wants to, when you're writing the Gospels, and it's not laid out, when they wrote the Gospels, it wasn't chapter 1 verses, but it was a story. And then they broke it down after. And so when Mark's writing this, and Peter's there telling him what to write, what do you put in and what don't you put in? Because Jesus did a lot of things. A lot of things that aren't even taken account. So what is important and what is not important? We have to decipher what we need to put out there. And so even Jesus on his, excuse me, even when Jesus was on his way to events that he had to do that we read about here, even if, those events, the stuff that he did en route would more than fill the Bible. That would blow away what we do in our lives. Just the stuff that he did on his way. So what do you decipher as important? So Mark had to understand what was important. And so what we read about this, going across this lake, going across this water, and meeting a guy that's living in the tombs. He has a demon. He's demon-possessed. His name is Legion. Mark thought this was very important. And I think that it's very important too. That we would check this out and see why it is so important. So, Mark wanted to, and I said this earlier, his writing style was alive. And what he wanted to do, if you look at Mark, you see a savage Jesus. Mark writes about a savage Jesus, not cutie pie Jesus, not jewelry Jesus, not sweet tart Jesus. It is a Jesus of authority. That's who he speaks about all through this. One that does not condemn, but yet definitely will confront. And that's who he speaks about. And when it comes to people in charge, Jesus was in charge. People that are in charge, but that they have, people that say they're in charge, but they have to tell you that they're in charge, they're not really in charge. If I got to tell you I'm in charge, I'm probably not in charge. Back in the day when we had little kids, and I don't know if it's the same with Alicia or any of you guys, young families, it's not even about yelling. It tells you that you're in charge. But sometimes our kids would do something and Cindy would just look. And all it was that look that told who was in charge. Amen? You know that look? You got that look? He's got that look. Okay, we got that look. That tells you that you're in charge. Sometimes just that look, she's in charge. Everybody, and then she would look at the kids, she'd look at Griffin, and the kids would go run, and they would go hide somewhere. In places I don't even know where the cracks and crevices were in the house. They'd find them and they'd hide, because she was in charge. So, priorities. What Mark wanted to get across was the authority of Jesus. And so here we are. Just what we read, in Mark chapter 5. There was this guy. And remember I said it's foreshadowing. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart, and no one could, bind him anymore. That is foreshadowing. Because guess what? Somebody's going to come, and somebody's going to bind him. No one can do it. But guess what? Someone's going to do it. That is total foreshadowing. This is where you need a Jesus with authority. You don't need that jewelry Jesus. No one could bind him. They'd chain him up and he'd bust the chains. We don't need a cutie pie Jesus. We don't need the sweet tart Jesus. We don't need the jewelry Jesus. We need a Jesus that walks in and takes care of business. That's what we need. That's what you need when you're going through something that it feels like your world is upside down. If you've ever been there, that's who you need. You don't need the Jesus that will sit on the side and just say, it'll be okay. Sometimes Jesus does that, But sometimes you need the Jesus of authority that will come in and help you take care of things. Sometimes he will just plain take care of things. He will sometimes do that. That's who we need. Someone with a Jesus, with a mighty Savior with an outstretched arm. I'm talking about a great big God. Sometimes we need him. We need a great big God all the time in this world. Not sometimes, but all the time. And so this talks about, this is the region of the Gerasenes. And it talks about pigs. So we know this is Gentile area. Because the Jews are not raising pigs. This is straight Gentile area. So here we are. He's going to go and he's going to do something in the Gentile area, the area of the Gerasenes. And it talks about, and they don't even really know where this place is. They don't have when you go over there to Jerusalem and you go through there, you go through the Torah, they can't really even say where this place was. They got a good idea, but Jesus would get up in the morning and he'd go pray early. Well, this man was up day and night crying and screaming because of the pain that he was going through. Living among the tombs and cutting himself and ripping chains. He was in pain. And he was possessed. There is no doubt. And Jesus is praying, and probably one morning, and probably every morning, but one morning as he was praying, he heard the man crying. And he said, this is the day that I will make my way, and I will set him free. Thank goodness for a Jesus of authority. That gets me going. Because that man was in pain. Yeah, he was scary. No one could handle him. But he would cry and he would live amongst the tomb. He didn't even live with the people. He was in pain. And Jesus said, today is the day. I'm going to go on my way and I will set him free. And so he goes. And he meets this man. And he comes and he falls before him. And it basically says, what do you want with me? Your first contact with God, your first interaction with God usually will be fear. Because God is that big. It can be fear. And so the demons that are inside of him, they are fearful because they know that their time in this man is up. Because of the authority of Jesus. And so he comes and he sees this man and they come and they fall at his feet. This man falls at his feet. What do you want with me? And so this is the problem. Jesus, I don't know what. So Jesus basically, he talks to this man and he puts him on order, but the demons resist. Because the demons will resist, because once they occupy a section of land, once they occupy a place, they will not release it without a fight. And so Jesus challenges the man. And they go, we're going to resist. They don't want to go. Let us stay. Let us stay, they said. Let us stay. So Jesus asked the man, what is your name? Legion, for we are many. And they said, please don't let us go. Can we stay? We've got this man on lockdown. We don't want to go. And so it talks about a large herd of pigs, right? That tells us we're in Gentile area. There's 2,000 of them. I don't know what the price of a pig is. $5, $6 a pound? Is that what it is? $6, $7 a pound? Is it? You get 200 pounds out of a pig? I don't know what you get, but I'm thinking it's between I did the calculations this morning, between 1.2 and 1.8 million dollars worth of pigs in today's, money. So this is worth a lot of money. There's 2,000 of these pigs. Talks about these pigs. I'm going to stop talking about them right now, but I want you to remember this. We're going to get back to it. You have a lot to do. I have a lot to do in common with these pigs. Now let me think about that as we continue on from that. There is a connection between you and the pigs. Also, this guy who is walking through the tombs, his name is Legion, which means 6,000 foot soldiers, which means he has many persona. He breaks his chains. Everyone's afraid of him. No one lives near him. He cuts himself. He cries in the early morning and late at night. And Jesus comes his way to set him free. You must be important. You got to be important. If Jesus must think you're important to do this. And let me show you that it's even more important. Let's back up a little bit. So all we just said, he went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes, and there was a guy, and Jesus came to him, and he got on his knees. I am Legion. Please don't, we don't want to leave this man. We've got him on lockdown. Can we stay? But let me show you how much more important this man is to Jesus. Let's go back to chapter 4, verse 35. You don't have to go there. You can just trust that I'm saying this. So, in chapter 5, verse 1, it says they went across the lake. Well, guess what? Going across the lake wasn't that easy. That day when the evening came, this is right before it, when the evening came, he said to his disciples, let's go over to the other side. Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was in the boat. And there was also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, and it was nearly swamped, and Jesus was on the stern, sleeping on a cushion. And the disciples woke up and said to him, Teacher, don't you care if we drown? He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, Be quiet, quiet and be still. Then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. And he said to the disciples, Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? And they were terrified and asked each other, Who is this even that the wind and the waves obey him? So Jesus got up in the morning. He's praying. He has heard this man's cries. He's going to go over and talk to this guy, and he's going to set him free. You must be important. But Jesus went through a storm to get to him. You must be really important. And so here it is. The day that they said, let us go over, Jesus said, to the other side. When Jesus says something, sometimes we just have to be obedient. We don't have to know why. They didn't say anything. They just got in the boat and went. But sometimes we feel Jesus talking in our life, talking inside of us. You got to do something. I want to know why. I want to see the outcome first. Sometimes we are required just to be obedient and get in the boat. Now, you get in the boat. They get in the boat. They are leaving Capernaum. Capernaum is how you say it. Capernaum means village of comfort. They are leaving the village of comfort. 22 miracles that were done in Capernaum. This is where he worked, and he did so many miracles there. It's the village of comfort. They're leaving the comfort zone, and now they are heading into conflict. Today is the day that I will be on my way to set this man free. So they get in the boat, and a storm comes up. A storm comes up. You are leaving comfort, and you are heading into conflict, and you wonder, and you can't believe that a storm comes up. When you left Egypt, slaves, did you think that they were just going to let you go? Or was there going to be some conflict? You have served Satan for 45 years, and now you've given your life to Christ, and you just think Satan's going to let you go without a storm? There's going to be a storm, but I always thought that the storm meant that Jesus had left. But instead, the storm says that I'm on my way. There's going to be storms. And Jesus, he got up, and he rebuked the wind, and he said to the waves, did you get that? Rebuke the wind. Jesus nowhere else. He doesn't rebuke nature. He rebukes demons. So the same oppression and the same possession that was on that man was in that storm. And so you've served Satan for 45 years. And he's had you on lockdown for 45 years. And he's had you tied up for 45 years. He's tied you up because he doesn't want you loose. And then all of a sudden Jesus has said, today is the day. that I will make my way, and I will set you free. And so you are free. Do you think that there will not be a storm or a conflict? Because Satan still wants you on lockdown. And he will do things. And we'll get to that. You guys still with me? Storms. And so, these storms, I always thought, right? If I'm going through a storm, it's like, Jesus must have left me. But no, sometimes storms means Jesus is on his way. That's cool. That's good to know. You're in a storm? Think about it. Jesus, he could be on his way. Your storm that you're going through doesn't mean that you're Jonah and you're running away from the will of God. I don't want to deal with these people. They're crazy. I've given up hope on these people, God. And so a storm comes and you get swallowed by the whale. You know that story of Jonah. That storm, it may not be that you're Jonah, but instead, it might be opposite. It might be that you're going through a storm because you're crossing over to the high calling that God has called you into. And there's a storm because you are important. You are very important. And Satan knows it, and there has been a hit list. You've been on his hit list since the day you were born. For you to even show up here today, he has tried his hardest for you to not show up here today. He has worked through generations to try to put you and to knock you down on his hit list. He hates you. He wants to tie you up. If you are important, he will try to tie you up. If you're not important. So this is a good way of putting it. All-Star game this weekend. NHL All-Star game. I did get an invite. Actually, no, I didn't. But if I did get an invite to the All-Star game, and I was on the line with some of my homies, Connor McDavid, and Alexander Ovechkin, and maybe even Brad Marchand and Patrice Bergeron. And I'm the fifth guy. So anyways, I'm out there, and they're skating around. Nobody's going to be guarding me. I'm not worth guarding. I'm not a threat. But if you feel a storm in your life, if you feel that something's coming up against you, it's because you are important. You want to know how important you are? I can tell how important you are by the storm you're going through. How important you are, your assignment, how big your assignment is, it can be the storms that you have gone through. Because Satan has had you on his hit list. You are important, and he will guard you and try to get you from getting the puck. But nobody cares if Marty gets the puck. Let him have the puck. I couldn't score on Griffin when he was 7, and I thought I had a slap shot. I remember at that place where we would go, where we'd ski there, and there was that pond. Remember in 100 Mile?
Oh yeah.
Where?
Hills Health.
Hills Health Ranch. I would load up. He'd be there too. And I'd load up with a blast, and he'd just do this. And I was in shape back then. I thought I had a boomer, and he was like 10. He was just, I couldn't score on him. Nobody cares if Marty gets. Nobody needs to guard Marty because he's not going to score. But the size of your storm can tell you how important you are. What you're going through can tell you how big your assignment is. And I thought that the storm meant Jesus had left, but no, the storm means that he is on his way. And so now, you're important. You're important. If Jesus went to pray and said to this man, he said to himself, today's the day that I'm going to go on my way, and I'm going to set him free, and I'm going to go through a storm, that same storm, the same oppression, and the same possession that is in this man named Legion is in the storm. I'm going to go through that. This man must be important. You must be important. Jesus Christ came, lived, fought through, living here. He put on my jersey. He never committed a sin. He died for you at your worst. You must be important. He felt everything that we felt. He was executed on a cross. You must be important. So now, this man, what's your name? Jesus knew what? He knew that this guy knew who Jesus was. When he said, what's your name? So he said, my name's Legion. And so he lives among the tombs, and he cuts himself, and he breaks chains. He's crazy. You know, and so I got some issues, but I ain't that bad. I don't got those kind of issues, so I can't really relate. Or can you? Are you out of control in some areas in your life? There's areas are there empty tombs that you visit sometimes? Some areas where you're out of control. So maybe there is a bit of Legion in me, and maybe you. And that's okay, because this is what I've learned. And I've always shared my shortfalls. I've always shared how, so let me share. I went to the doctor. I've been fighting with this wrist, which is feeling good today. I went and got this wrist checked out. It's been bugging me since the last day I worked at your place, Kenny. When I was getting those lights in, it's been bugging me hard since then. And I got some x-rays finally, and then I haven't got called back to the doctor yet. So this is me sharing with you. The x-rays, my physiotherapist said, you have the wrist of a 90-year-old man. And that was shocking and depressing and disappointing. And then I was like, is that like an in-shape 90-year-old guy or an out-of-shape 90-year-old guy? So I'm just trying to squeeze out whatever I can out of this. And Serena, who's a God-fearing woman, she said, I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say. She said, I'm going to pray for you, though. And I said, I'll be good. I just got to take some time and wrap my head around it. I love proving people wrong. And I'm not afraid. I know Jesus is going to heal. Jesus is going to do some good stuff here. I'm going to be a part of it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be a part of it. I'm going to partake in some of the good stuff that God's going to do, and he's going to heal this. And it feels great today. I don't even know. It feels good. Maybe he's healed me already. I don't feel anything. So anyways, I used to feel funny sharing things because all you guys look at me like you guys have never had any problems in your life. And it's like, you guys look like, oh, you poor guy, you've got so many issues because you're always telling about your problem. But then I realized all y'all was crazy. I realized that all y'all is crazy. Because I know personally through working a lot, and I've made a lot of friends, and I've been around a lot of people, I've seen millionaires with, which means that's like they got a lot of money. They got a lot of money, but they're not happy. And then I know some people that they're country club kind of people, and they smell good. And they got clean hands, and the fingernails are clean, and I'm sorry, mine aren't. And they eat hummus. But they're filled up on depression pills. And then I go, y'all, it's crazy. So now I don't have a hard time talking to anybody because I think we're all a little bit crazy. But get this is the good news. Get this is the good news. Jesus knew that man was crazy, and it didn't stop him from getting in the boat to go and to set him free. And that gives me hope because I'm a little crazy. And that gives me hope that he's going to come. He has come in my storm, is going to help me out too. That gives you hope that he's going to come in your storm and give you some help too, even though we are all a little bit crazy. And I'm not trying to make light of anything, of what you might be going through. I just want to make light and just say that the man, Jesus knew that guy was crazy. And it didn't stop him from getting in the boat. Today is the day that I will make my way and set him free. Not cutie. You don't want cutie pie Jesus coming. You don't want jewelry Jesus showing up to this man that breaks chains and lives among the tombs with no one else and cuts himself and cries day and night. You don't want sweet tart Jesus. You want Jesus of authority to show up. And that man sees him, and Jesus knows him because he's heard him cry. And that man comes and he falls at his knees. What do you want with me? Because that's your first impression when you run into God, is that you can be very afraid. Let us stay. We got this man on lockdown. So we are all kind of like Legion in a way, I guess you could say. We all are out of control in certain areas. Maybe we're out of control in our spending. Maybe we're out of control in our sexuality. Maybe we're out of control in our eating. I don't know, but we are in certain areas out of control. We can't be. That doesn't stop Jesus from coming. 6,000 foot soldiers. Legion. That's what it means. The word legion, 6,000 foot soldiers. That's a lot of personas. That's a lot of people. I can't relate to that. Oh, really? What about online you? What about Friday night you? What about Sunday you? That's the one I know the most. What about Monday night you? When you come home, because Monday and you're grouchy, because you still got 4 more days to go. What about, I don't know, what about iPhone you? What about, we got all these little areas, and so you hang out in the tubes. I don't hang out in the tubes, but maybe you hang out in the mall. Maybe you hang out on eBay. Maybe you hang out on your phone and it turns into the tube. I'm just saying, we do have some kind of connection to this man named Legion. But grace is coming. Grace is coming in a new way, and that is Jesus. And now the pigs. I told you that we have a connection to the pigs. We have a lot to do with the pigs. So here it is. This is kind of like the most important part. Why do the demons want to get the pigs? So Jesus comes and he falls on, and they know what's up. They know time's up. This 6,000 foot soldiers, Legion, falls at his knees. What do you want with us? We want to stay. We've got this man on lockdown. Please don't let us leave. Jesus said, I went through the thunder, man. I went through the thunder and lightning for this man. I saw him and I said, he is mine. That one's mine. And yeah, you're going to have to leave. But we got him on lockdown. We don't want to leave. You got to leave. Well, see, demons are pretty smart. They're smarter than most church folks. These guys know how to get in formation. Demons know what's valuable. They know more about your destiny than you do, unless you're really close to God. And so they say, how about those pigs? So if we got to go, we know we got to go because you are all authority. You know, we were hoping that we could talk you into staying, but since you say that you came through the storm, that we tried to do the storm thing and you still went through that because you just said be quiet and it stopped. We know it gigs up. So how about the pigs? Yes, you can get in the pigs. 2,000 of them. And so he casts out the demon. Legion goes into the pigs and runs off the edge of the cliff. And they all drown. See, what do the demons know? They know, first of all, that pigs can't swim. Do you guys know that? Pigs can't swim. Second of all, they knew that the people in that town probably cared more about the pigs than that man. Those pigs, 2,000, today at $5 a pound and under 200 pounds per pig is 1.2 million. I'm saying it's worth $1.5 million, all gone. The demons knew what was valuable. And Satan will hit you at where you hold your greatest value. That is where he will attack you. Where you hold your highest value, he will attack you there. He will try to attack you there. But we have a shield. Don't get all worried, because we have a shield and his name is Jesus Christ, and it is thick. But he will try to attack you at your greatest place of value, and when he does, and you feel it, he is going to hope that you send Jesus away. And that's what happened. They knew that the demons knew that the people cared more for the pigs than that man. And so when the pigs disappeared and died, they were like, what happened? Jesus, get out of here. And they asked him to leave because they were hit at the greatest value. Okay, we're going to lose this battle, but we don't want you still here, Jesus. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit Marty at his greatest value, and he's going to become so frustrated and say, Jesus, you don't care? I'm not even going to follow you anymore. And I'm going to send Jesus away. That's how Satan works. And that's how it worked. And they asked for Jesus to be gone. Pigs were worth a lot, and they got it. You must be important. All of us. We are important. Don't ever think that you are not important. You are important. You are given children to raise. Don't let anyone ever tell you you are not important. God gave you those children to raise up in God's Spirit. Don't ever think that you can't do it. You are important. And when you feel a storm your way, it doesn't mean that God has left you. It means that He is on His way. Because Satan will do anything to stop Christ from coming. And he will put roadblocks in, but it doesn't matter. Jesus will blow through the roadblocks. But you will see that roadblock and say, it's a storm. God has left me, but no, it means that He is on His way. You are important. And so this guy named Legion, fell on his knees. Please, what do you want with me? Please don't. The Legion says that's my name, 6,000 foot soldiers. Jesus says, I went through the thunder, man. You got to go. And out into the pigs and over the bank. What's left? This man is left. And he gets up, and he's clean, and he's new. And this is funny. The guy that was crazy now wants to go with Jesus and wants to get in the boat and go with him because he's like, these people are crazy. I want to get in the boat with you, Jesus. Can I come with you? Because isn't that what Jesus said? When Jesus would come along, he'd see Matthew, and he'd see the fishermen, all those disciples. He'd just say, come follow me. I'll make you fishers of men. Come follow me. And it takes faith to follow Jesus. It takes faith to follow Jesus. But sometimes it takes grace to stay in the situation that you are. And Jesus looked at this man, and he said, I want to come with you. Where was it? Let's see. And as Jesus was getting in the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. He's like, he wanted to get out. The crazy man said, these guys are crazy. Plus, I know, Jesus, you got that one guy, Judas, and I don't really trust him. You know, a devil knows a devil, and I don't know, I could be a better secretary, treasurer than Judas, so he didn't say that, but try to be funny and you're not even listening. So he just wanted to go. Like, that's what Jesus did, right? Come follow me. Follow me, let's go. But he says, no, you got to stay. Jesus said, go home to your family and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how much He has had mercy on you. What he's saying here is, I am not going to take you out of your situation. I have taken the situation out of you. I'm not going to take you out of your situation. I have taken it out of you. You can't follow me. I need you to go home.
No.
And that's quite a contrast. I changed your condition, but you're going to remain in your circumstance. I'm not taking you out of your situation. I'm taking it out of you. And so go home and tell everyone what has happened to you. And so he goes back and he talks about the Decapolis. Decapolis is 10 cities. And he goes and tells everyone. And he, the crazy man who broke chains, who didn't even live with anyone, becomes the first missionary to the Gentiles. He must be important. Why? Because God had plans for him. You are important. God has plans for you. Like, God is so good. He became the first missionary to the Gentiles. This crazy man. Because Jesus said, when he was praying one morning and heard him cry, and have you ever cried out to God? Jesus hears you. And it might be that day that he is going to come. And he said, I'm coming, and I'm going to set you free. Why? Because there's a great assignment. How important are you? What kind of storm are you going through? What kind of storm you're going through is going to tell me how big your assignment is. I think of my life and think, I went through a few storms. I went through some good ones. So I guess I better get ready. God's got big things for not just me, for everyone. What kind of storms you've been through? That's going to tell you how important you are and how your assignment, what size assignment God's going to use. And he does it all. He does it all. He set that man free. He didn't do anything except fall at his knees because they were afraid of his authority. Jesus set him free. And then the man just went. He set him free of his condition. But he remained in his circumstance, and he went and he told people in the 10 cities, became the first missionary to the Gentiles. That's awesome. I believe God's in this house. God's in this house. And I believe he spoke harsh, really hard to some people that are here. They're not, I wish this place was full, but maybe they'll listen on this thing today. But God's got big plans. You are important, don't you ever. And I always go back to how many people are, taking their lives, and the young people. And I don't know what I can do. It makes me mad to hear stories of young people that are just saying, I'm not important. They need to hear this. They need to meet Jesus. They need to know that the storm means Jesus is on his way. You don't have to cut it off now. He's on his way. To hear these stories of people leaving this earth way before they're supposed to, that makes me mad because Satan's winning in those areas. I think in this area, Satan's going to start losing. God's raising up. God's bringing people. God is in control, and Satan is in trouble because God is moving. God is moving. And I get kind of nervous when I say Satan's in trouble because I know he's a big person, but greater is he that is in me than is he that is in the world. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And for a guy that was crazy, became the first missionary to the Gentiles, that's what God can do. Amen?